Even when a scary mystery is finally solved, the true stories behind these crime cases still raise a lot of questions. Despite puzzling over these crime stories for countless hours, baffled law enforcement experts will most likely never know the strange motives behind these mysterious cases. Number 5. On January 22, 1991, at the base of a hill in the city of Thermal, California, human remains were lying partially uncovered. The harsh desert climate had made it tragically difficult to identify the remains, and the missing person did not have any identification on them. Despite the best investigation of the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, all they could do was tell that this was the body of a woman, and from there, the strange mystery went cold. Around the same time, KATHRYN Coffey's relatives were starting to worry about their missing loved one. KATHRYN was a Baldwin Park, California native who had graduated from Scripps College in Claremont, a small liberal arts school west of Los Angeles. KATHRYN had last been seen in Indio sometime in late 1989 or early 1990, and although she was independent, her mysterious disappearance was uncharacteristic. However, they would not learn of KATHRYN's unexpected ending for years to come. In early 2022, the Riverside District Attorney's Office partnered with OTHRM, a genetic testing lab, to gain more information about the cold case in Coachella Valley regarding the unidentified Jane Doe. Using a DNA database, the cold case team at Riverside was able to uncover a potential match: KATHRYN Coffey's sister. Upon further testing, they were finally able to confirm that KATHRYN Coffey was in fact the missing Jane Doe. Although the mystery of Coachella Valley Jane Doe has been solved, the mystery of what happened to KATHRYN Coffey has not. Investigators believe foul play may have been involved in her case. Anyone who may have any information about KATHRYN, or who may have seen anything suspicious in Thermal, California in late January of 1991, is urged to contact the Riverside County Regional Cold Case Homicide Team at 951-955-2777. Number 4. Starting in 2016, the residents of a small town in Western Australia called Tom Price were unknowing participants in a creepy mystery. Over a 2.5-year period, police in the small community received 16 scary but true stories of a criminal peering in people's windows or courtyards to spy on them in their own homes. Women reported the intruder coming by when their significant others were away. Single women seemed especially targeted for repeat incidents. The man somehow seemed to always know when they were home alone. Several residents talked about installing costly CCTV and security cameras. For years, the incidents continued, eventually becoming classified as a cold case due to the shortage of evidence to catch the perpetrator. Finally, in the summer of 2018, the individual was clearly identified by one of the women he was targeting. This sighting, combined with the testimony of previous targets, was enough evidence for police to circle in on former area resident Damon Bruce Gillespie. According to true crime reports, the 47-year-old was able to figure out women's schedules and target them when they were alone. The entire town worked together to ensure the scary mystery was solved. For his crimes, Damon was issued a suspended sentence with 1 year of intensive supervision and counseling. Number 3. In November of 2021, federal agents raided a Brooklyn residence to arrest QUASHON Burton. However, the criminal suspect was nowhere to be found, and for nearly a year, he eluded investigators. He stands accused of stealing nearly $150,000 of extremely limited pandemic relief funding, meant to support those who were struggling with lockdowns. QUASHON reportedly stole at least 4 people's identities in order to fraudulently gain the money, which he then used to live large as a fugitive on the run from the law. A postal investigator was visiting Animal Kingdom with his family when he spotted the criminal fugitive on the loose. He found the man to be easily identifiable thanks to an unusual tattoo on his neck. The man called the Orange County, Florida Sheriff's Office and informed them that a federal fugitive was in the park. Approximately an hour later, QUASHON was apprehended by law enforcement agents as he waited at a bus stop with two of his family members. He's accused of using stolen identities for the past year and allegedly refused to admit who he was, even after fingerprint matching confirmed his identity. He was charged with resisting arrest and was ultimately transferred into federal custody in October of 2022, where he remains pending trial. Number 2. On January 22, 1980, Evelyn Marie Fisher Bamforth was at home alone, recovering from a recent knee injury. Evelyn, 32, lived in a mobile home in Miramar, Florida, with her husband John. Her life was cut short when a home invader broke in through her window and fled the same way. The identity of the assailant would remain a scary unsolved mystery for decades. To this day, it remains the oldest of the cold cases solved by the Miramar detectives. In an unexpected ending that was just publicly released in December of 2022, nearly 43 years later, Evelyn's attacker was identified as a neighbor who lived just 12 doors down by the name of Ronald E. Richards. At the time of the attack, Ronald was free on bail after he attempted to attack his girlfriend in 1975. He was identified as a criminal suspect in the mysterious unsolved case just months after the crime, but there was never enough evidence to conclusively prove his involvement. However, thanks to major advances in DNA forensics, investigators in 2022 were finally able to prove Ronald's guilt and solve the mystery. Shortly after Evelyn's passing, Ronald committed another attack in nearby Volusia County, Florida. He's currently incarcerated. Police believe it to be true that more stories of his crimes are out there, and they continue to investigate for new evidence. Number 1. When Kara Robinson was 15, she was watering plants in the front yard of her friend's house when she found herself looking down a barrel and was forced into a man's car. For the next 18 hours, while her loved ones dealt with the scary mystery of her absence, she was held by someone who was more than a scary person. They were a serial killer. On June 24, 2002, Kara was visiting her best friend Heather's house. While she was standing in the front yard, a man driving a dark green Pontiac Trans Am pulled into the driveway. The individual, Richard Evans, was a middle-aged man carrying a binder in his hands. Kara described him as unremarkable, and when he came up to her, she wasn't concerned at all. He told her he was in the neighborhood distributing magazines and asked if her parents were home. When she told him that it wasn't her house and that Heather's parents weren't home either, that's when Richard struck. He stepped forward as if to hand Heather the magazines, but instead pulled his weapon and ordered her to get inside of a plastic storage container in the back seat of his car. After some time, Richard pulled over and placed handcuffs on Kara and covered her mouth. He then brought her to his apartment, which was full of crime scene evidence. In a strange but true scary story, Kara, determined to escape, was able to get Richard's name by reading his mail. Thinking fast, she also memorized his appearance and the names of his doctor and dentist from magnets he'd left on the fridge. Kara decided that she had to gain Richard's trust in order to manipulate him into providing an opportunity to escape. Even as he attacked her over the course of hours, she spoke with her abductor, learning as much personal information about him as she could, so that she could tell all of her true stories in detail to police. When Richard grew tired, he cuffed Kara to the bed frame next to him. During the early morning hours, as he slept, Kara made a daring escape, silently unscrewing her handcuffs and opening the door before fleeing as fast as she could out of the building. Kara ran to a car in the parking lot and told the men inside that she had been kidnapped. They quickly brought her to the police station, where she told them all of the information she'd learned about the evil serial killer, Richard. By the time investigators raided his apartment, the serial killer had escaped justice and was still on the loose. Inside of a locked trunk, Richard had kept newspaper clippings about young women who had met unexpected endings in the past 5 years, as well as handwritten notes about 3 girls, Sophia Silva, Katie Lisk, and Kristen Lisk. Richard quickly became the primary suspect in these unsolved cases. Investigators were able to track him to Sarasota, Florida, where he had plans to meet his sister. After a high-speed highway chase, Richard was cornered by police and ultimately took his own life, rather than face the justice that he deserved. However, Kara's brave escape and quick thinking had not only saved herself, but had brought closure to the families of Sophia, Katie, and Kristen, effectively solving 3 cold case files. Today, Kara is a speaker and a law enforcement investigator. According to her personal website, she believes she survived and carries this dark history to spread hope and encouragement to other survivors, and to show them that they are not alone in their true horror stories. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.